Hello, good morning. My name is Modo Victor, and first let me apologize. This YouTube channel is meant to have been way more active than it is, but I have just basically dedicated it to Super Eagles content whenever we have games. But I promise that for the AFCON 2022, content will choke you people on this channel, and I'll ensure that even way beyond the AFCON 2022, the channel actually gets to work with quality content about Nigerian football, the league, and then how well our players are doing abroad. So this is like my first video in a very long time, and what better topic to discuss than the trending topic for every football lover in Nigeria? That is the Super Eagles. Super Eagles will be involved in less than 2 weeks. AFCON 2022, our first game is against Egypt January 11th. And the question is, the team that has been selected by head coach Eguavon, is it good enough? Do every player on that list merit the person's place? And how far do you think the Super Eagles can go? And to do this, I mean, I am just the person that's going to be pushing and nudging people on. I have someone in the studio that has dedicated his life to sports for a very long time and is vast in things concerning Nigerian football. So I'll just give up the space for Wale Adigun. Mr. Wale.
Hey, great to be here, Modo. And I mean, the AFCON is already here.
True.
And the Super Eagles definitely will be taking part, and hopes are a bit high to go in the AFCON. And I mean, your channel definitely has to be a one-stop shop for AFCON content.
Will you be in Cameroon?
Not really. I've got my hands really busy here. I mean, doing stuff also for AFCON.
Let us clarify that these are the big men that stay behind the scenes and get all the advert money, all the shows running back home in Nigeria while we go to break our backs on the field. But there is God. So Let's just go straight into this. Starting with Genetro, Austin Eguavon, and what I like to call the band of coaches. The NFF has disengaged Raw. They have employed Eguavon and a band of coaches along with ambassadors for the team to ensure that the team does well in Cameroon. Do we have a chance?
Yeah, do we have a chance? It's very difficult. I mean, with a lot of factors. How do you sack your coach with a month to the AFCON? I think that is itself a recipe for disaster, but looks like the NFF itself a bit skeptical about our chances, because if you want to win the AFCON, you don't do that, especially a coach that has been with you for 3 years or so. But I mean, away from that, I mean, they've moved on, selected band of coaches, like you call them, led by Austin Eguavon, the Salisu Yusuf, and a couple others, and also the band of the ex-internationals who are ambassadors. And it's really a strange one, although with Austin Eguavon, you've got experience. A lot of people, don't forget, should remember that this guy went to the AFCON in 2006 as coach and got us third place. We're third. In fact, we should have gotten into the final, if not for Ivory Coast and that contentious...
Third place, our golden bronze.
Yeah, golden bronze. But I mean, maybe we should have been in the final. Drogba scored a very contentious goal, probably should have been ruled out for offside if there was VAR. So Eguavon knows what it takes. Ex-player, ex-international, ex-coach. So I think that we're also in a bit of safe hands. He also knows this team from a distance. Remember, he's technical director of the Nigeria Football Federation. So there's a bit of know-how too. Salisu Yusuf has been in and out, although I'm not comfortable with the circumstances. Yeah, until disaster struck.
The incident.
Yeah, that happened.
Just stop there.
So it's not really a bad one. I just feel that with 30 days to the AFCON, you bring in someone new, someone who I think is a very strict guy, a disciplinarian.
True.
Yeah, Austin Eguavon, in case you don't know, is a very, very strict guy. And with Raw, you felt the players had a lot of free roll. He let them do whatever they wanted to do. In fact, towards the end of his reign as coach, there were stories that there was a romp that happened before a World Cup qualifier, which Modo...
Totally debunked by everybody that can debunk it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
I mean, Raw denied it, but I mean, stories like that, that wasn't the first time we're even hearing it. And trust me, under Austin Eguavon, you probably not have instances like that. So it will be nice to see how Austin can rally the team. Then I worry for the fact that we don't have too much tune-up games to play, before AFCON. I was hearing Eguavon saying that they might likely not play friendlies, although recently the NFF also has ordered the technical committee to get friendlies. We're hearing Cotton Sport, who are based in the city where we'll be playing our game, Garwa. So it's very, 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 very edgy, but I mean, my hopes are not high.
But if we are being fair, every other team at the AFCON gets to grapple with the same things we are grappling with, because they are players are being released late, players are turning up to camp. In short, Senegal, almost all their players are based abroad and their clubs are holding on to them to almost a new year. So almost no team will have preparation time. There may not be a lot of time for the friendly matches in between countries. But as interesting as this sounds,
yeah.
And you hit on Raw and Eguavon. My $5 million question is this. The NFF, in its wisdom, has appointed Eguavon and a band of coaches to take us at the AFCON. And then, before Eguavon even gets to lead his first training session, they have appointed a new head coach that is meant to play an observatory role in Cameroon. The question is, are they set, like, how do I coach a team knowing that I'm stepping up? Well, I know he steps back into his technical director role, you understand? But are we not going to have a contractual issue if Eguavon and his band of coaches actually do so well, and then begs the question why we are relieving them for a foreign coach that has been appointed even before they get to kick and the ball? And if you need a foreign coach and you appointed him, why don't you just take charge of the AFCON instead of going to observe?
All right, so first of all, I think that Eguavon has been appointed interim.
Yes.
And the understanding I want to believe is that his job expires as interim coach after the AFCON, irrespective of whatever he does at AFCON.
Even if he wins it?
Even if he wins it.
So he might win it and then have to step down for Jose.
And if you take a look at we don't have the official documents here, but the word on the street is that Jose Peseiro is going to take charge after AFCON, and Eguavon is going to move back as technical director. So everything is clear. There's a lot of clarity there. Do I have issues with Jose Peseiro being announced without Eguavon already even starting work? I don't, honestly, because I would have had issues if the NFF had not clarified the role of Jose Peseiro going to Cameroon. And they've said he's going to go there as an observer, although we know that he's still going to have 1 or 2 inputs as far as tournament. But the NFF has clarified that Peseiro is going there as observer and Eguavon is in charge of this. So I think there's a clarity of roles, which is good news. The timing is fine as far as I'm concerned. I don't think that Eguavon will have any sense of entitlement to the job long term, even if he wins the AFCON. Because it's been explained to him what is required of him after the AFCON. And that is go back to being the boss of Jose Peseiro. Remember that he is the boss of the new coach coming through. So I think that everything is clarified right now.
But as in, it still plays out somehow. I mean, I am Eguavon and I hold my band of coaches and we win. Even if we know that we have to step down, but how do you explain to the Nigerian public? And it's not possible that the NFF in their wisdom might say, oh wow, Eguavon did this real good. Why is he not going the distance? So with the possibility of this team doing very well and smart coaches like Eguavon and the band of coaches handling them, why go ahead and sign?
I think that we've seen a lot of instances where some coaches win titles, do well, and still have an understanding or still get sacked.
True.
Yeah, they still get sacked. We've seen a lot of it, mutual agreements. So that's another good example you've put out there. But why are we so optimistic that Eguavon is even going to do well at AFCON? You look at the situation, you look at the factors that we are contending with right now. Umodo, you ask yourself, can this team even get to the final? I mean, there's the Victor Osimhen elephant in the room that we're still going to address later. So you ask yourself, is this team AFCON material to win the title? Although some other weird things have happened. 2013, we're never favorites. And we went all the way and, I mean, we beat some big teams like Ivory Coast.
Miracle of Sunday.
You get so, and that's even probably a worse team than what we have right now. Filled with a couple of home-based players and the manager who took a big risk and gamble. God rest his soul, Stephen Keshi. So I look at this team and honestly, I don't think that Eguavon is going to take them to win the AFCON in Cameroon.
Okay, so Wale has said that he does not believe that the team will go all the way and come back with gold. So let's just go straight to the team. Since he's talking about the team. This team on paper is way better than 2013. We have an amazing team put together. Let's see. Let's just go straight to the team, and Wale is going to pick on every team member based on if they deserve their place from his own point of view, if they deserve their place or not. So let's go. Goalkeeping department: Maduka Okoye, Francis Uzoho, Daniel Akpeyi, John Noble.
Yeah, Maduka will be disappointed that Gerard Raw is not going to be at AFCON because we know the role that Raw played with him. But does the exit of Raw make things very much even between these 4 goalkeepers? I still think Maduka has the edge. Dan Akpeyi has been really good. He has been offered a new contract at Kaizer Chiefs, which is testament to the great things he's been doing. John Noble is going to be content with probably being watching proceedings from the bench. That's not to say that he's a bad goalkeeper, does it for aim, but so I think those 3 goalkeepers. Who was the 4th goalkeeper in the mix? Francis Uzor was first choice at a point in time, then injuries happened, changed clubs in Cyprus. But I think Maduka just has the edge. He seems to be the better guy. He's playing for the bigger club. Remember, he officially joins Watford and on the 1st of the new year too. So all of those that's combined to just ensure that John Maduka Okoye is going to be first choice in Cameroon.
Okay, let's move on to the defensive department. Let's go. I'll just pick it 3-3.
All right.
Leon Balogun, William Trust, Ekong, Ola Aina.
Yeah, I mean, Leon comes with experience, maybe has lost a bit of mobility. He's been very, very crucial for Steven Gerrard's Rangers until he left. Now there's Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, who still counts on him, although he's been injured a couple of times. I hope he's fit for AFCON. Trust Ekong has been really, really, really poor for Watford. A lot of people don't talk about that, but it's been really, really poor. But when he turns in for the Super Eagles, I think he does his best, but he's got Leon to always mop up all of the mistakes. I think he can be rash, but I think he's a very great leader for Nigeria at the back. So it's still going to be Leon and Trust. I think we're going to play 4 at the back, not 3 at the back. But for Ola, I know Ola is flexible, can play across the back line too. I mean, these 3 players I've mentioned deservedly should be in this list.
In an interview I saw, Eguavon said that they will do everything that they can do to ensure that William Trust Ekong gets back to his very best, both for club and country.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of what his club does. How many times does Eguavon get to work with Trust Ekong? I mean, the work is with Ranieri and Watford to get him back to tip-top. I think he's a good defender, but in the last couple of games, he's made some costly errors for Watford. But I hope he recovers his confidence and comes to the Super Eagles and does well.
Other members of the 5 and 6 competition have Kenneth Omero, Awaziem, and Olisa Nda. Before I go over to the left back and right back.
All right, Awaziem, I've been impressed with him, especially with the Super Eagles. There's Kenneth Omero, who has always had injuries in and out with his groin, but I think he's back to his best, also playing in the 2nd division in Spain. And there's Nda, who is the dark horse there. And that's been quietly good for Orlando Pirates. I hear he's a fan favorite already in the PSL with the big South African club. But I think that AFCON comes too early for Olisa. Olisa is one of the guys who you can trust with the ball, can play from the back, very, very good with the ball. Under pressure is good with it, can punt it long, can play short too. But you just get a feeling that AFCON comes too short. There's a lot of senior defenders in there for him to be trusted with that opportunity to start for the Super Eagles.
Like Osimhen in 2019, Osimhen was basically training material. He was so good in training that us that observed training were asking Raw that when does Osimhen get to play? But it was like Osimhen is not ready, he's still training, and then this is meant to be his AFCON, but we will get there. So Zaidu Sanusi, Jamilu Collins, and Shehu Abdullahi.
All right, so Shehu can play left back and play right back, although see more of him at right back these days. A lot of people also don't know that he can also play in midfield too, which he probably does in Cyprus. But at left back, I just feel that Jamilu Collins is not Super Eagles quality. I mean, every time that guy plays, I can't understand how he continues to play for us. But you have to understand also there's a dearth in quality of left backs. Even in the MPFL, I struggle to really find quality left backs too. But Zaidu has been on and off. I mean, I watch him regularly at Porto. He plays in the Champions League. This moment he's playing well. The next moment is costing his team. But he's a very solid guy. I think it's very interesting going forward. If you want to play 3 at the back, he's one guy you can rely on, you know, as a fullback too, with attacking instinct. So with Zaidu, I think Zaidu will start. Yeah, not only because he plays for the bigger club, but because he's a much more well-rounded defender than Jamilu Collins.
Okay, funny enough, Jamilu had an amazing game in Cameroon, CR versus Nigeria. They returned leg. He had a monstrous game along with every other member of the team.
So what did he have in the first leg? Wasn't he action in the first leg?
No, but I think the main thing for us is we need to know who turns up. Like we need to beat our chest and say this is the version of this player that will turn up every time. We need that concept.
Interestingly, I mean, in international football, you have players who turn up for their national teams and they're crap with the clubs. A lot of things happen. A lot of players do that, and it's not intentional. And that's why you have some managers. Case in point, Vicente Del Bosque, when he was coach of Spain, he trusted more of his players who could turn out with the national team and wouldn't probably do well for their clubs. And so you could see that in his team back then, there were players who were not playing regularly for their clubs, but were always playing for Spain. And that was because he trusted them to bring out their A game anytime they were playing for Spain. Do we have players like that with the Super Eagles? I think we have a couple. With the Super Eagles, Troost Ekong is always a Trojan. He's always giving his very, very best. But at Watford, what is it? I mean, it's the guy who is probably helping them to leak goals. That is not a criticism of the player. I'm just saying that there are some players who just transform to something else really, really good for the national teams. It's not a bad thing.
Okay, so we have cleared the defender. Do you think there's any defender that missed out on this list? Maybe a Tyrone, Akpoguma, like who should have been in this list that was skipped for Ananda or any other person here?
Looks like Kelvin Akpoguma has been ousted for Olisanda. But I mean, when you go to tournaments, you also want to go with an element of newness, element of surprise. And I think Olisa offers you that. I've liked him since he was at Aqua United. Maybe because of his dreadlocks, but I think he's a very good defender. I remember I talked about how he's very calm with the ball. Under pressure, he's very, very calm. And it's just an element of surprise. Some people go to tournaments and their element of surprise is one young attacker, is one young midfielder. I think with us, we've gone with a defender. And I hope he gets a chance, but I'm not too positive on that. Kelvin has done well in the Bundesliga, no doubt about it. He's been in and out of the Super Eagles too. You feel if Gunnar was manager, Akpoguma would have definitely made the squad. Yeah, you feel he will have been there. The other name you mentioned in there, Tyrone is the most exciting right back I've seen for the Super Eagles in a very, very long time.
Right for African football?
I don't care. I mean, you guys can talk about African football and its intricacies, but players adapt. And Tyrone looks like a player who can adapt. I can never forget the friendly we played against Argentina. He was our best player. And injuries have done him dirty. And you get a feeling that he hasn't returned to 100% since that injury happened. He's changed clubs. I think he's in the Eredivisie these days. I think Tyrone's time will come, but I think that it's taken too long. And maybe AFCON will have been a proper chance for him to go in there and show that he still got what it takes. And I'm so devastated he didn't make AFCON.
So we have trashed out the defense. Let's move over to midfield. That is the fulcrum of the team. So let's go. Wilfred Ndidi, Joe Aribo, Alex Iwobi, Frank Onyeka, Kelechi Nwakali.
It's a good midfield selection. There's a lot of brawn in there, maybe not a lot of brain. Ndidi can definitely fight, Ndidi can scrap, Ndidi can mop up, definitely is bang on to start. I think it's probably high time he started even being captain of the Super Eagles too. If Eguavoen is looking for a new captain, I think I would definitely put a Wilfred Ndidi. So Ndidi is bang on favourites in there. Joe Aribo definitely deserves a spot. But with Joe, there is always a confusion about his role when he plays for the Super Eagles. I watch him at Rangers, and this guy is the guy who makes that late dash into the box 18 and scores goals, right? But with the Super Eagles, you see him being restricted into central areas. And that is what that Eguavoen has to really figure out. Is he a central midfielder or is he an attacking midfielder? Because I think that Joe can offer a lot more. I remember his debut with the Super Eagles. I think that was in the games against Brazil and Ukraine or so. And he played some amazing stuff. Got a goal too in that game. And since then, he seemed to have regressed a bit in his role. I want to see him go into forward spaces and help the attack. I hope he does that at AFCON though. Kelechi is one player who I used to adore. But is one player who should not be in this list. He could have been a surprise element, but I think Kelechi is way past his best. He plays at Huesca, doesn't even play regularly at Huesca. And that's the honest truth. Kelechi is one player when he was in his, let me use the word prime, because he's in his prime age right now, but when he was in his elements, could dictate the pace of the game. I mean, he might be a less mobile player, but he could dictate the pace of the game, slow it down if he wants to, and up the ante if he wants to. But I haven't seen much of him, and I don't know what the selectors have seen to bring Nwakali into the fold. But I mean, they know why they've brought him back. I don't know if he's going to be starting.
The player with our best passing range.
Yeah.
Take the ball, passes forward. That's meant to be Kelechi Iheanacho.
Yeah.
Now, what Kelechi Nwakali used to do, I watched him at different levels with national team, and once in a while for his club, is apart from sit back in central midfield and try to do a bit of dictating the play, he has an impossible passing range. That may be what we're looking for.
I think that since Austin Jeje Okocha left the scene, we've been looking for a replacement for Austin Jeje Okocha, unconsciously or consciously. And Kelechi, exactly. Kelechi also falls into that cadre. And that's been the problem with us. We've been struggling to find replacement, but we have to change the way we want to play our football because there's never going to be another Austin Jeje Okocha. You mentioned Kelechi. That's another problem we have in the confusing roles our players play at club level and with the national team. Look at Kelechi in the Man City game. The goal he scored. Look at the assist he had for Ademola Lookman. He's a player who can he's a player who can play behind the striker. He's a great finisher. And he has the final pass. I mean, his final pass is one of the best even in the Premier League. Now, there's another name where I thought if we had been braver, we should have dropped him. Alex Iwobi. Iwobi should not be near this list.
Some people will argue that Iwobi might not be at his best for
the club.
Everton, but for the Super Eagles, he always turns up.
You're correct.
He probably turns up more than Aribo.
You're very much correct, although I don't agree with the Aribo sentiment, though. I think Aribo has always done with the Super Eagles. But you're correct with Iwobi. Iwobi comes in with the Super Eagles and you see more effort. You see him putting his body on the line. That's not to say he doesn't do that at Everton. I just feel the quality in the Premier League is just way past Alex Iwobi, to be very honest. I used to like him, but I thought that as a player, as an individual, he's not growing. He's not showing efforts to improve as a player. And I've seen that even from Arsenal before he joined Everton. I think in midfield, what we've seen in this list is that in the attacking phases of our midfield area, we lack quality. We lack a lot of quality. And that ensures that we're bringing the same of the same. And that's why Kelechi also is back into this team. Because you look all around, how many quality offensive midfielders do we have as a country in the MPFL abroad? How many do we really have? We don't have a lot. And that's why I continue to tell our people that you look at the squad collectively. You break it down into pieces. Do we even have some of the best players in Africa? I don't really think so. Look at Alex Iwobi, look at Kelechi Iheanacho, and the rest. Do you think it's the best midfield we can offer in Africa right now? Not really. But as a unit, collectively, I think that they can do a job. Yeah, I think they can do a job. So it's not a bad midfield to really have, but I think I'll be counting on Wilfred Ndidi more to help to shield the back line. Joe Aribo hopefully can get to fourth spaces and contribute goals. Alex Iwobi, with sprinkling of his magic and hold on to the ball, can dribble also, and Kelechi hopefully with the final pass. But Kelechi Nwakali should never be near this team.
Talking about shielding the back line, you also have Frank Onyeka. For so long, the issue was if we don't have an Ndidi, what do we do? But Frank Onyeka in the Premier League has shown that he can still step up.
Yeah, Onyeka also is a combative midfielder, although at Brentford, Thomas Frank utilizes him more as a forward-line midfielder. Even before he joined Brentford, he was the guy who was getting some numbers in Michelin. In the Champions League, he was even much more known for his forays up front, rather than whatever he was doing to protect the back line. And when you hear Onyeka on the national team circle, you're seeing someone who is more of a defensive midfielder. It's not. True. That's the truth. But also, you ask yourself how many times Onyeka has played really well, played for the Super Eagles, not really well. He hasn't got a lot of chances. I don't know if he will at AFCON.
The times he had, it was amazing.
He
almost did not miss it.
Yeah, but so I think that if we're looking for balance, you're probably going to be looking for a Wilfred in the Onyeka axis. Starting.
Depending on who we're playing.
Hopefully.
I know most of our coaches are always very, very reserved.
And the worry for this band of coaches, like you mentioned earlier on, is that they don't have a lot of time to see these guys play together. True. Not too much friendlies to be able to tweak one or two things. And that's going to be the worry. I fear that, I think the positive at AFCON is our first game is the most difficult.
And it's
Egypt. Get it out of the way, lose that game, just saying, get the game out of the way. But crucially, it is important we use the Egypt game to fine-tune our team. Okay. In fact, the Egypt game should be seen as a warm-up game. That Egypt game should be seen as a friendly game to prepare us for AFCON. In as much as AFCON has started, the Egypt game is a warm-up game because it's a game that will give us an idea of how our team is going to be against Guinea-Bissau and also against Sudan. So, in as much as we have Cotton Sport hopefully to play, the Egypt game also should be seen as a game where also the Gavon should be able to look at his team and say, this is how exactly. Yeah, I'm not hopeful about the Egypt game, to be honest.
So let's run to the striking position. That is where everybody wants to talk about. But before I even talk about striking, let's talk about the elephant in the room, Victor Osimhen, and the grappling with Napoli.
Now, I mean, that's been a seesaw situation between Osimhen, NFF, and Napoli, and maybe by extension, Napoli's medical team.
True.
Now, what's the backstory of this? Osimhen has an injury coming together with median hernia, his cheekbone fractured, and the prognosis for Osimhen is that he'll be out
90 days.
for 90 days. That's like 3 months.
Yep.
And I mean, a few weeks later, the coach of Napoli, that is, what's his name again? Basically, the coach of Napoli, I'm still trying to brain freeze moment, but he says that he's going to be back by December. And a lot of people are surprised that, hey, what happened to the 3 months prognosis?
And then we see pictures of him jogging.
And suddenly we see him wearing a face mask, we see him wearing a nose mask, a face mask to protect his face, and he's back in training. All right, so winter break comes and Osimhen is back in Nigeria. And he puts out a tweet saying that if the Super Eagles or if the NFF want to call him up, that he is ready. If they put him in the team, he's ready. Fast forward a few days later, provisionalist is out, and Osimhen's name is in the list. And suddenly, Napoli's team doctors show up and say that it is going to be a miracle for Osimhen to be able to play at AFCON. And before that, they also come out with a January 16 return date for him, and that 16 date, I think, is the game against Juventus. Yeah. And I'm like, what's happening? Osimhen says he's fit. Napoli say that it's not ready yet. And I can understand that Osimhen realizes that AFCON is a very, very important tournament. We mentioned it some minutes ago that last AFCON, he felt as if he was shadowing Odion Igalo. You know, he was getting experience. He was learning. It was a learning curve. And this AFCON in Cameroon was the final opportunity to go out there and blow out Africa. This tournament was made for Victor Osimhen right from the qualifiers. And it's so obvious that the boy wants to play. But to be very honest, is the boy's body, is his face ready to play? I don't think so. I don't really think so. And that's why we're hearing now that he's out of the tournament. That I think that's official now. He's out of the tournament. It should be replaced by Terry Murphy, I'm hearing, or Eri Onyekuru. Yes, I think Eri Onyekuru likely gets the nod, but he's out. And that's a big blow. Because if Osimhen is out, where do the goals come from?
Okay, officially from the NFF, Osimhen has been replaced by Eri Onyekuru.
So he's out. And that is good news for Napoli. Good news for two things.
Emmanuel Dennis is also out, replaced by Peter Olayinka. Who else is out? Shehu has been replaced, and we have Tyrone. We have Tyrone back now with Valencia. We have England-based Semi Ajayi is in for Leon Balogun.
All right, so most of our projections are almost correct. Shehu had an injury.
Yep.
Although that was also a situation that was clouded in a lot of secrecy. Was he injured? Was he not injured? Did he deserve his place? Did he not deserve his place? You get, and looks like that injury, because I realized that game he got injured, he went off as early as the 36 minutes in Cyprus. So I think that injury rules him out. I'm happy for Tyrone. Venezia has been doing really well in the Serie A. Semi Ajayi, I haven't seen much of him at West Brom. Plays in the English Championship, but he also is a leader at the back for West Brom, no doubt about it. But Leon Balogun's experience, what is going to replace that? You know, that's
okay.
A big
So I always say something whenever they ask me about our 5 and 6 pairing. I say we have. I look at the 4 players. I look at Leon, Truss, Omero, and Awazim, and I break it into 2. We have two types of players.
Yeah.
Leon Balogun and Awazim are the same type of player. Truss Ekong and Omero are the same type of player. So anyhow you mix that, you understand.
And that's why when Leon has partnered Kenneth, they've been solid. When Truss also has partnered Awazim too, they've had some degree of solidity.
It's always balance, no matter how you.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know where that balance is going to come from. Shemi coming through. I don't think Shemi's going to start, but up front, you just mentioned Emmanuel Dennis.
Be a miss, man.
I mean, I think the bigger miss for us, a lot of people don't realize, he hasn't played much. I think last time he played was 2020 against Sierra Leone. Emmanuel Dennis. I mean, you can.
The surprise factor.
Yes, it's the guy who can come in there and give you a lot of width. He's a number 9, right? But he's a wide number 9.
True.
He can play from wide areas.
Like running at every.
And guess what? All of the wide players we have right now, I am not convinced. I'm not convinced with Chukwueze right now. I'm not convinced that Ahmed Musa, whose age has caught up with. But Emmanuel Dennis can just give you an element of surprise. And that's why I'm devastated he won't be at the AFCON. And not because he's injured. is because the mail to invite Dennis for the AFCON arrived late. Now, I hope the NFF are going to approach FIFA and CAF for understanding on the situation, because Ranieri was saying a few days ago that they might not release Dennis because the mail to invite Dennis arrived late. He didn't meet the deadline. Okay. Now, I'm checking the FIFA website, checking the FIFA statutes. Is there a provision that allows that if a mail arrives late, a player will be allowed to join up? You know, so, and I think the body language from the player was that he has always wanted to play, but he felt that he's been ostracized away from the team for a while. But it's a new coach. And I mean, he even tweeted it. When he was announced, when he was put in the list, he tweeted that he was excited to play for Nigeria. But I think the player also realizes that he's Watford's best player, 8 goals, 6 assists. January is going to be crucial for them if they want to stay alive in the Premier League. So maybe he's caught up in between both worlds, and looks like Watford is a much more important task for him as a player. Also, as I mean, Watford pays bills.
True.
How much of loyalty does he have to Nigeria? Let's be very, very honest here. How much has Nigeria done for Dennis? Let's be very, very honest. So I think that his loyalty right now lies with Watford and Claudio Ranieri, and has chosen to stay with them.
And what you're saying, there's a news report that broke, I think from On Goal a while ago, that Dennis had chosen to stay with Watford, though that has been debunked by his agent and even Dennis himself.
Yeah.
But I mean, it begs the question. But let's move on from them and just go to the others on the list. Ahmed Musa, talking about him already. We have Moses Simon, Chukwueze, Chidera Ejuke, Taiwo Awoni, Odion Igalo, Sadiq Omar, Peter Olayinka, and Henry Onyeko.
All right, so I was asking where the goals were going to come from. There was no Victor Osimhen. It will come from Taiwo Awoni, but will he get the chance? That's the big problem.
Will he lead the line?
Will he get the chance to lead the line? Because
are we going to see Odion Igalo lead this line again?
Of course, you're going to see him because number one, he's experienced. He's been here. He's done that. So for that alone, he will lead the line. Taiwo will probably be the option from the bench. Taiwo will probably be the option if we need to play 2 at the front. So maybe he will get his chance, but he won't get to lead the line from the start. Peter Olayinka is a player I really like. He's also another player who can offer you excitement from the wide positions.
Like
now, the question is Eguavoen going to go with his natural wingers, or is he going to go strikers who can play from wide areas? Imagine a front line that has Sam Chukwueze on the right, Peter on the left, and Odion Igalo in the middle of Taiwo Awoni.
I think no matter how we play, we might always have to start with, okay, and let me say Chukwueze starts one side.
Oh, Chukwueze
but
starts.
The other wing is a straight contest between Moses Simon and Chidera Ejuke.
Yeah, Moses is going to start because of his work rate. He can always, apply himself up front, and also can help when the team is on the back line. So if they are defending, Simon puts in a very, very great shift. And I think that the selectors also realize that. But I like Chidera Ejuke. Fantastic player. Can dribble.
X factor.
Yeah, can dribble really well. Maybe sometimes it gets into his head.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's done that a lot of times. He can get a place to the gallery. But he's one player, is an exciting prospect to have off the bench, same as Peter Olayinka. But I think our front line already has 2 guaranteed starters. That's Chukwueze, if he's 100% fit, which I believe he is. Odion Igalo up front, and whoever is going to play from the left, which most likely is going to be Moses Simon.
Rod did something a while ago where he could bring in Kelechi Iheanacho, give him a wing, but in reality he's meant to drop in to help midfield and get to run around. But the bottom line is, no matter how we look at it, no matter the excuse we prefer, we have a team that's good enough to go the distance. The question now is, can we apply them perfectly? It's
a good team as a collective. As an individual, if you pick out those players, Egypt's going to knock us off. Algeria, Senegal, we can't stand them. But we can stand these teams as a collective, as a unit. Now, the question is, this team is a disabled team. We just mentioned the players who have pulled out.
True.
With days to AFCON. They're bringing in new players.
Victor.
How many weeks do they have to even gel, to achieve team chemistry, cohesiveness? How many games? How many weeks?
This is largely almost the exact same thing.
It isn't. It isn't.
Really?
It isn't. Look at the back line. Shemi Ajayi, Olisanda, Taron Eboe is back.
Except for Olisanda, everybody.
The only place where there's a semblance of consistency is midfield. In the D. I'm not happy Etebo hasn't made it. Etebo will have been a injury. But you have Ndidi, you have Iwobi, you have Kelechi, you have Onyeka. This is a group that's always been together for a while. up front, things have changed. There's Peter Olayinka. We're going to struggle. It is very obvious to see that we're going to struggle. And that's why I will repeat again and emphasize, the Egypt game should be seen as a tune-up game. It is not a must-win game. It must be seen as a game to tune up this team for the second game, for the third game, and also for the quarterfinals. We're most likely going to have 3 games to play at AFCON.
Wait, stop. What you're saying, so, let's get this. Put a camera on him, yes. What he's saying, okay, let me just ask you.
Yeah.
Make a bare-face prediction. How far will the Super Eagles go at AFCON 2022?
All right, I think that the Egypt game, like I've said, is a tune-up game. We'll likely lose that game. Okay. Guinea-Bissau, Sudan, we're going to bounce back, win those 2 games, and 6 points should be more than enough to qualify. Now, the question is, what will be the caliber? What will be the quality of the team we're up against in the quarterfinals? If we can avoid Senegal, if we can avoid Egypt, if we can avoid, okay, we're going to avoid Egypt definitely. If we can avoid Algeria, I think we're good to go. Yeah, if we can avoid Morocco also, I think we're good to. I think the best we can achieve is once again a semi-final. The semi-final, I think once again it will be a step too far for us to get to the final. But this team is good enough for a quarter-final berth. Anything from then on, I think will be a big bonus. But Guinea-Bissau, Sudan definitely ensures that we are set up to make it to the knockout phase of the Africa Cup of Nations.
Wale Adigun says that this team is good enough to pass the quarterfinals and will get to the semi-final, but he thinks the final will be a step too far. In 2019, John Ogu said something. John Ogu said that if you're looking for a player that is going to go for upwards of 70 million, 80 million, say Victor will be the first Nigerian to go at that range. If you're looking for the future of the Super Eagles in attack, that's Victor Osimhen. These were the words of John Ogu, and we head into the AFCON. Officially, the NFF has said Victor Osimhen is not making the team, and he has been replaced with Henry Onyekuru. We wish Victor the best, but then this team can go the distance, and we believe that the players there will have to show their mettle to ensure we get the goals and everything that we need to go as far as we can at the AFCON. Wale, thank you so much for coming on this my revamped YouTube channel.
It's all good.
This is the first video, so I promise you guys that more of this will come. Starting from the 1st of January, I resume at the Super Eagles Camp Abuja, and I'll keep giving you content till we win the AFCON 2022. Don't mind what Wale says.
In your wildest dreams.
Alright guys, thank you very much. It's a wrap.